Sinazamuye ijwi ryanjye hejuru mumenyesha iby'ibi bihe nafashe n'umwanya ndaguhamagara mumenyesha iby'isarura.
Welcome to Amjambo Africa News Organization. My name is George Budagu Makoko, and I'm the publisher of Amjambo Africa. Today, I'm very happy to have my guest all the way from DRC Congo, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to our viewers and public, who he is, what he does, and then we're going to proceed with more questions. Again, I'm very excited here to have you here, Dr. Sebitereko, with Amjambo Africa. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you.
You're welcome. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the public and who you are, what you do, and before we can proceed with the interview.
Thank you. My name, I'm Lazare, Rukundwa Sebitereko, and I come from Minembwe. I am the president of Eben-Ezer University of Minembwe.
Yes, thank you. And how long have you been doing that?
I have been working with this university since its creation, because I'm the founder, one of the founders.
Yes.
For the last 20 years.
Wow, unbelievable. And for people who don't know Minembwe, and what is and then is there where is it located? And geographically wise in Congo, where is it located?
Minembwe is located in the highlands of 3 territories. Is at the junction of 3 territories, and that is the territory of Fizi, the territory of Mwenga, and Uvira.
Mm-hmm.
In South Kivu, in Eastern Congo. Okay. And Minembwe itself as a center is in the territory of Fizi.
Yes.
But the region that I can call Minembwe mainly is a large area that touches the 3 territories.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason why I've invited you today is for you to share with the public as to what is happening right now in the area of Minembwe, or in the high plateau of DRC Congo, in the southern Kivu region. And I want to give you time to explain to me what is happening right now in terms of killings and burning of villages and all that. So as somebody who's lived there for a very long time and who's working there, and I'm sure you have lots of insight as to what's happening there and what can people do. So if you can go ahead, tell me as to what's happening right now in Minembwe.
What is happening right now is a conflict, and this is an armed conflict that is engaging tribal armed groups in alliance with other foreign armed groups.
Yes.
And they attack one tribal group, which is Banyamulenge.
Okay.
And in retaliation, the Banyamulenge also defend themselves.
Okay.
And this has been happening for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And currently, at least we have, there is no single week without attacks and killings. And those killings have created a very big humanitarian crisis, having hundreds, thousands of people displaced, having hundreds of people killed, having hundreds of thousands of cows looted, and several hundreds of villages completely burnt down. So it is a total chaos, and unfortunately, all this had been happening, and starting with one village to over 300 villages.
Yes.
The government is there, MONUSCO is there, and they have been, trying to do their best when it started, but unfortunately, I think it went off hands, and now it seems that everyone is helpless. And today, Minembwe being not only affected by all those conflicts, but it is also very remote.
Yes.
This is a place where there is, it's not very accessible because there is no road.
Yes.
So currently we entirely depend on a small airstrip where we have some small planes can come in with some food and some medicine or connecting Minembwe with other cities. So it is a serious and dangerous situation for people who have been living in this in it for quite long now.
I can imagine. So, why will they just target one tribe among, if I am correct, like 350 different tribes in DRC Congo? Why is that the Banyamulenge are the only one tribe that are being targeted? Is there anything behind that? It just like, why is that?
That's a very good question. As you know, Congo, I think, is the only country in Africa that shares 9 borders with other countries.
Yes.
And every country has population living both sides.
Yes.
In the Congo and in other countries. It is only in the Eastern Congo, especially in South Kivu, and partly in North Kivu, where people who share borders become victims of who they are. And this is the issue of being Banyamulenge, being Tutsi, related to Rwanda or Burundi.
Okay.
And this is a problem that started long time ago, and has been so much manipulated by politics.
Okay.
Not necessarily with neighbors that live together, but it has also been so much used by politics, especially whenever there are any big changes coming in about to happen in the country, like elections and so on. So the issue becomes new.
Yes.
And I can give you some episodes of that. Since independence, there was civil war, the rebellion of 64 that came in. And Banyamulenge became the first victims of that. And they fought that war. And they finally became allies with the government of Mobutu. And they stopped the war. They stopped the conflict. After like 20 years, then again it happened. That was in the 60s. And when we came to, I think it was about elections in 80s, our candidates were rejected, and they said no, they are not Congolese. They are Rwandese. They are Tutsis. then another crisis happened. Literally, Banyamulenge, I remember at that time I was still young. I was at high school.
Yes.
I remember people participating, even myself. I sat together with elders in the village when they were deciding to go and ban the vote.
Yes.
The ballots, because they had been denied the right to vote. Now, that we thought that is going to be solved. And we stayed for another few years without any disturbance until, again, in early 90s, when there was, I think was because of the problems that had happened in Burundi and also genocide in Rwanda, with all the influx of refugees, the government of Zaire at that time wanted to make a law in the parliament that will identify the Congolese and non-Congolese, especially the refugees that were coming in. And to our surprise, that didn't only target the foreigners that were coming, but also Banyamulenge were included. And again, there was a crisis, which actually triggered, all the conflicts with that also fueled the war of '96.
Yes.
Again, after the war of '96 and the 98, there was a ceasefire, there was Sun City, inter-Congolese dialogue, a new constitution was written, and the issue of nationality was solved. But to our surprise, about 10 years later, issue again comes in, and the same rhetoric, of calling Banyamulenge foreigners, Rwandese, it started being used not only by rebel groups, but to our surprise, even politicians. And yet these politicians are in the government or are, around with the government without any fear. They incite people to violence.
Yes.
Up to date. Now, what we are seeing happening, one has to do with this issue which has never been solved and which has been manipulated all along by politicians. And whenever there is a problem, they have to use, it's like a card that has been put there. Whenever you want to play, you bring it out. And it is unfortunate that it's being, has been done when we have a government in power, responsible, which we have been telling every time, look, there is a problem here. There is a problem here. And they come, they visited Minembwe several times, but no solution. That is one thing. Has been so much politicized. I mean, the politicization of our identity. Secondly, it has also been an issue of land and political administrative entity, which they feel that Minembwe cannot hold, such kind of responsibility or have right to land and have right to such administrative, political administrative entity closer to them. And this is not, it was not only for Banyamulenge, by the way, it was with all other tribes. But the leadership of such kind of entity, then it becomes problematic when they feel that Banyamulenge is leading. And these I'll give you two examples. One was a local administrative entity which is called Groupement de Amjambo, which is in the territory of Uvira. This entity was created in 70s, but the leadership of it has been so much problematic just because they don't want Banyamulenge to lead it, and it brought so many conflicts.
Yes.
And recently, that was in 2013, when the government, central government, created so many provinces and also local administrative entities, including Minembwe. But the application, of that decree was so much an issue when Minembwe was given to Banyamulenge to lead it. It is like you don't have right to land. You don't have right to an entity, a local chieftaincy. It's like you are foreigners. Why should you lead? Why should you have a place to call on your own? So that also became another issue.
Just a clarification, if I can ask this, and I know you are a very educated person. You hold a PhD in theology, I think, and also not only that, you know pretty much about your own history or the history with the Banyamulenge. You may have some sort of knowledge on that. If for the people who don't know the Banyamulenge, when do you think the Banyamulenge came in what is now called the Congo, whatever direction they came from, either in Burundi or Rwanda or other countries? When is there any record as to when they landed in what is now called the Congo? Is there any information that you can give to the viewer as to that information?
I think on that, it is also very politicized because everyone wants to give it, to explain or to give a date according to his own or her own opinion.
Yes.
But what I can only say is that Banyamulenge found themselves in the Congo, what is called Congo, before colonization.
Yes.
So the same as many other places, the movement of people in Africa was not based on one thing. It was either based on safety, or it was based on survival of their cattle if they were cattle grazers, or hunting. And people moved from one place to the other.
Yes.
So according to the histories, Banyamulenge were the first Banyamulenge to find themselves in the Congo, are so much far away from the colonization. And I think that is always also used, when the problems of, politics arise. Otherwise, why should Banyamulenge be the only people to be asked when they came, when they found themselves in the Congo? They don't ask other tribes.
Okay.
And people being on the borders. And by the way, we are not, and this is also has been another problem that has been used by many politicians who don't know the geography of South Kivu or Eastern Congo. Banyamulenge are not at the border with Burundi or Rwanda. Banyamulenge live, their first village is about 150 kilometers away from those borders, or 100 kilometers, 100 kilometers from the border. We have Babembe, Bafuliru, Bavira, and Barundi, and Bashi, who are the immediate neighbors who live at the border with those other countries. But this issue doesn't happen to them. You know, it becomes problematic to us who are like Minembwe, where I am, and the border with Burundi or Rwanda is over 250 kilometers.
Okay.
But many people will say, no, these people live at the border. We don't live at the border. But the issue becomes problematic because politicians want always to exploit the identity of Banyamulenge.
So are you saying that the only one reason why they may be hated is just the fact that they are Tutsis, and that, or is there anything else that is tied to that?
Let me say this is one. That is one of the issues.
Okay.
Because we have other people who, I mean, I'm telling you, we are living with people who share the immediate neighbors, who share the borders, who live at the border.
Yes.
They are not involved at all. But people who live so far away, they are the ones that are being called
foreigners.
So being our identity is one problem. But I think also there is another issue. I was talking about land. I talked about this identity. I talked about the land. But I also want to talk about the issue of how will I say economic issue.
Okay.
Now, among the people that we live together, we are the main cattle grazers. We are pastoralists.
Yes.
And in terms of economic materials, we have among our neighbors, we have been having something tangible, and even during the war of '64, the very first conflict between Banyamulenge and the Babembe and the Bafuliru, it was because of their cows. They started looting Banyamulenge cows, even when some Banyamulenge were also rebels, together with Babembe and the Bafuliru, fighting the government, and also some other Banyamulenge and other tribes, other neighbors, were also on the side of the government. But when they started attacking Banyamulenge and their cows, then it became immediately a tribal issue.
Yes.
So that has also been another problem that we are having in this area.
So I want to ask you. So I know you travel a lot. You go all around the world and visiting countries, and I get very confused as to, now that we're talking about globalization and we're talking about moving frontiers and borders. And recently I was in Europe, and I was just shocked that I left UK and I went to Belgium, and I went from Belgium, I went to France, and you can't see any border. It's just like a traveling from one, it's just almost like the same countries. So we're talking about globalization here around the world, but yet in the Congo, they're still tied into tribalism, and they're tied into ethnophobia and all that. Why do you think the Congo politicians in the Congo are way behind the current movement of global village and moving their frontiers and borders? What would you say about that?
Well, I think they are also linked or related to many other factors. One, of course, as you know, all these borders we are talking about, these are colonial borders.
Yes.
These are artificial borders. Yes. So in other words, we are becoming victims of colonialism.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we don't see even those countries that colonized Africa coming in, to help solve the problems. And you find that Africans, we are still very limited in our thinking, that we have to stand and stay on the borders created by colonization. They have nothing to do with our will. They had nothing to do with our consultation.
Yes.
You know, we were not, I mean, our parents who were there or grandparents who were there were never consulted in drawing these borders.
Mm-hmm.
But we are being victims of those borders. That is one problem.
Okay.
The second problem is that even people on these political and colonial borders,
yes.
and who are on both sides of these countries.
Yes.
We don't see, unfortunately, African Union standing and saying, look, we have had so many conflicts that are not created by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We are having problems that are inherited
mm-hmm.
from colonialism.
Yes.
How can we solve these tribal issues if really they are touching one country and the other? Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, we have the same people, the same problem that is happening here. It happens now it's happening here in Eastern Congo, mm-hmm. Where you have people who are being affected by this yes. problem. You know, it's not only here in Minembwe, mm-hmm. but today, you know, there is a case or a conflict between Zambia and DRC. You know, the province of Tanganyika, yeah. where soldiers, Zambian soldiers, entered, you know, and crossed borders, mm-hmm. and claiming that they have a territory in the Congo. Now, yeah. if our African leaders cannot think of all these issues yes. and step ahead, yes. And have Africa as one, have Africa as their continent, that mm-hmm. I can feel a citizen of Africa. Yes. I can feel a citizen of any place that I can go in Africa. Mm-hmm. Then we find that we are still very much attached or tied up, yes. you know, by these colonial issues. If places like Europe mm-hmm. has removed borders, mm-hmm. Why can't we do it here? I think there is one issue is cultural. Yeah. Secondly, is economic.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's come back to the conflict in Minembwe. So, in terms of damages and the consequences of the war, that you just say that the conflict in Minembwe, targeting the Banyamulenge particularly, has started almost like 3 years ago, and has villages have been burned and people have been killed and cattle are being looted. So, what is in terms of statistics about the damages caused by this conflict? What would you say about it? What is the real damages there?
The damage is huge. In terms of people killed, we have over 300 people who have been killed. Okay. And unfortunately, this, you know, the list continues, because even last week they killed people, mm-hmm. and 2 weeks ago they killed the others. Mm-hmm. And they attacked people, they attacked their cows, they attacked their villages, and so on. Mm-hmm. So today, if I can talk in terms of what we have right now, we have over 300 Banyamulenge people killed. Mm-hmm. We have over 307 villages completely burned down. We also have over 150,000 cows looted. Wow. We have people in camps around Minembwe, Mikenge, and Amjambo area. And that is, I'm talking in terms of Banyamulenge who are being victims of this. But yes. at the same time, I can also say that as much as they come and kill and destroy, they when they come and fight, Banyamulenge fight back, because they don't have to stand and continue to be killed while they can defend themselves.
Help me understand that. So the Congo has an army, right, that is supposed to protect everybody on the territory of Congo, and there's also the MONUSCO, which is the UN peacekeepers who've been there, I think, since 2003, if I'm not mistaken. And you're talking about almost like, I was reading, and I think that it's 18,000 people who are there, and all of them, all these burning villages and people are being killed at the watch of all the army and also the UN peacekeepers, the MONUSCO. Is that what's happening, or there's something else happening there?
Yes. Initially, when it started, the government said that this is a tribal conflict, and the army cannot interfere. But unfortunately, villages from one village to the other went on fire, were set on fire.
Yeah.
And this because the armed groups from other tribes attacked Banyamulenge, and Banyamulenge organized themselves. They were also attacking them. Mm-hmm. And so as they burned their village, the Banyamulenge village is burnt. Another village also from other tribes is burnt. Mm-hmm. And that killing continued on and on and on. But one problem that I will mention here mm-hmm. is that during the in 2017 and even 2018, mm-hmm. We were telling the government, even mm-hmm. if there is a problem between armed groups,
yes.
if there is a problem, mm-hmm. let it be individual. Let yes. anyone who has done a crime be judged yes. by himself. I mean, or himself or herself. Mm-hmm. But don't generalize. If a Bafuliru is killed, mm-hmm. why should we do retaliation to all, Banyamulenge? Yeah. Or if one Banyamulenge is killed, then we should not also generalize. Yes. We told the government, yes. we told the MONUSCO, but unfortunately, mm-hmm. they never used all their means to stop the war.
And why do you think is that? What is, so I understand, even if the tribes are fighting each other, does not the army have the responsibility to stay in between and stop them because they are more powerful than them? Why do you think they're just letting go and cut loose and people are dying in the process and just stay aside and watch?
That is a very good question, which we also ask them. Why can't, even if it is a tribal issue, mm-hmm. It is a tribal issue, but in a government that has responsibilities of protecting every civilian equally. Right. And unfortunately, I think this conflict also came in a very delicate moment of political instability. We're having elections. We're having all these issues between oppositions and so on. And mm-hmm. I think probably their priorities and their attention was completely on something else. But at the same time, we were having local government. We were having soldiers on the ground. They never helped. And instead of also becoming so passive, at some point, some soldiers, if Congolese soldiers were working, either on side of rebel of tribal groups, yes. and this made the problem even worse. Yes. And you also have all these foreign armed groups. They yes. come. Where do they pass? Yes. The country is protected. Yes. Where do they pass? Why do they let them in and mm-hmm. come and kill, civilians while the government is there? So you see, all these are issues that we don't have even today. We don't mm-hmm. have answers. Yes. We have the biggest UN mission in the world. Mm-hmm. It is in the Congo.
Yes.
you know, they have been here for 20 years.
Yes.
And we tell them, you know,
yes.
all these reports, they know, they are there. So,
wow. So
we think that, we think that there is a problem that we have, that is with the government. You know, it is a responsibility of the government to protect their civilians, and it is the same. It is within prerogatives to not only to protect people, but also to take, you know, to disarm whoever has an arm illegally.
That's right.
But we don't see. We don't see it happen.
So I know there have been changes in terms of government or leadership in Congo. So the conflict started in 2017, but in 2018 there was a new government. Do you think the new government is it doing anything different from the previous government, or they're almost the same? They are like whatever you reach out to them, they don't help us the same way they used to do, or are you seeing any hope there?
I think the hope is there, but when the government came in, the new government came in, we gave them the report. We met the president. We told him, we told his government, and they made several visits to Minembwe, to South Kivu, and met all the leaders, civil society, and even the way. They met even the armed groups. They brought them together, you know. So that is why I'm saying there is hope. But from 2018 to today, we have seen so much destruction. Maybe there were about only thousands of villages burnt. And there were about only few thousands of cows taken. But today is worse. It is worse. So we in terms of reality on the ground, we don't see any change at all.
Wow, that's interesting. And have you reached out to the MONUSCO and you tell them, look, our people are dying, but yet they did not do anything? And what was the excuses that they were giving? Is that just it's not their responsibility to, because I know part of the mandate they have is to protect the civilians and whenever they are being killed. So what's going on with the MONUSCO right now? Have you reached out to them and they don't get any help? They don't give you any help?
Yes, we did. And their main response is they are partners with the government of Congo. So whatever the government of Congo tells them to do, they will support the government. And so far, we don't know what they do. Because if from one village to 3,000, to over 300 villages are destroyed, from one cow, you know, killed or looted, to over 150,000. From all these, from one village being displaced to over 150,000 people displaced. And here, I'm not talking only for Banyamulenge, I'm talking also Babembe, Bafliru, Banyindu, all together. They are all displaced. And again, this is the problem with this conflict. Even if it is being done by one tribal group, is affecting everyone. And that is why we feel that the government needs to be to listen to us, listen to the cry of the people, listen to this voice, you know, that is going unheard in the wilderness. We need protection, and we don't need to be protected just because we don't look. We don't look like you, or I don't look. I look like you. So the protection has to be for everyone, regardless of how he looks or how which tribe he belongs or she belongs. We need to be protected regardless of our gender. We need to be protected regardless of our tribes and our ethnic groups. we are Congolese. All of us, we are Congolese.
Yes.
We need that protection.
So beside the government and the MONUSCO, but have you reached out to the international community and calling for help, or regional community, like other countries, just to say, like, look, we are being targeted and we're being killed here, and we need your help? Have you reached out to other organizations in terms of humanitarian assistance, but also for protection? Are the other efforts that were done besides just those two entities, the government and also the MONUSCO?
Yes, we did. We talked to the MONUSCO several times. I mean, MONUSCO has a base in Minembwe. Yes. They have a base in Mikenge. They have a base in Uvira. They have a base in Bukavu. You know, and all those people, they know, they are aware of what is happening. They have a base in Baraka. Yes. So they know everything.
No, what I'm saying is like the UN or other part of the world, like the UN and the other international institutions. Have you reached out to them?
MONUSCO is an arm of UN. They know the issue. But we have also done our own efforts to talk to neighbors. You know, we talked to the governments in the region. We talked to the embassies in Kinshasa. We talked to different, the international community. We did. But you see, many of them say, well, it is a responsibility of the government to protect its people. Of course, it is. But when it is not being done, that is the challenge we're having. But there was why I say that there is hope probably is that recently the president of Congo, President Felix Tshisekedi, recently nominated 3 ministers to look into the situation of Eastern Congo and see which solutions that they can propose to end this conflict. We hope that probably this will be one way that can bring about peace. There are 2 issues here. One, there is an issue of, the consequences of this conflict is that we have so many displaced people who are not being helped today. You know, since last year up to date, the only few humanitarian assistance that we get is from friends and a few organizations that are friends to us or to people of Minembwe. But the big NGOs, big humanitarian agencies, including UN agencies, are not in Minembwe.
So why is that?
That's a good question. Why? One, they say, when we ask them, they say there is Minembwe is not accessible at the moment. There is no road. And others say that it is so much expensive if we have to use the planes. And others also say, oh no, it is so much dangerous, you know, the security issue. But Minembwe is not the only place that is fragile or is has insecurity situation that humanitarian agencies cannot work there. We know that they also work in places that are even worse than Minembwe. But I think also there is this issue of politics and not willing to help. You know, it is a problem. And I think I would be happy if you can help me to ask those people, those humanitarian agencies. You are in the US, you can go to New York and ask this question to the United Nations. Yes. Why are they not helping?
So clearly,
secondly,
yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Clearly,
secondly,
the danger is there because right now with the COVID-19 and also the hunger, people are not being helped with the humanitarian assistance, you know, food and no medical assistance, and also the rebel who are chasing them all every day. So this is like a really at risk of being exterminated, and the UN you should do something, but you think they are not doing anything at all.
Yes, they are not doing anything. And probably if they are doing it in somewhere else, but not in Minembwe.
Okay.
And we want them to do it. Minembwe needs humanitarian assistance, but they also need a lasting solution to their problem. Why should Banyamulenge be a problem every generation? From one generation to the other. You know, from 60s to today. Now we are celebrating 60th anniversary of independence, and yet we still have people who are suffering from who they are, you know, from their own identity. Why? I think bringing humanitarian assistance is one thing, is good. Coming and stopping armed groups fighting is another thing. But solving the problem of identity, when we have a constitution, when we have a constitution that is not being applied, when we have a responsible government, and yet not using their mandate, you know, to protect the people equally.
Yes.
And even to punish whoever is propagating hatred,
yes,
and ethnic violence. Use it, but
yes,
they are not. And I think that is where we need to solve this problem. The fact that I may be of a different, or I may be of a different origin than you, it doesn't make me less than less Congolese. Whether you are a Bantu or you are Nilot or you are Hamite or you are Tutsi, you are Hutu, you are wherever. Whatever you are, proudly you are Congolese, and this is what we have to defend. The cultural diversity that we have should not be a hindrance to our development, but should be instead our wealth, our heritage.
Yeah.
But we are not using that, and the government is not helping us to actually explore this diversity of our cultural differences. We are different. Let's agree. I look the way I look, but I should be respected also, and I should be protected equally, the same as the other one is being protected.
Yeah. So about the rebel movement, like I was reading, and one of the major militia is a Mai Mai, and this is a militia that's been almost there for since 1996. So after 96, how do they get armed? How do they get the munitions? How do they get all the the weapons they use to kill people? And what can be done? Who are the Mai Mai really? If somebody has to ask that question.
I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is, in the first place, why do we have armed groups?
Yes.
These are young people, very energetic, with full of future. Why are they not in school? You know, why are they not in businesses? Why do they only find that they can use arms to survive? I think, again, this is a challenge of the government.
Okay.
You know, lack of local development programs have made so many young people to start looking for other ways of survival.
Yes.
And from the times of all these rebellions that we have talked about in 60s up to today. So you find that the proliferation of arms in this region, together with the conflicts in the Congo, in the Congo, in Rwanda, in Uganda, in Burundi, all these the movement of armed groups and arms, so they fall into the hands of whoever, and when people start thinking that not only they have arms to protect their villages or to protect their tribes, but they also have arms as a means of survival. And this, again, the government with its partners should have thought of or put in place a good, proper strategic plan of development to have, to create jobs for all these young people. And I'm very sure people will not have time to be talking about rubbish. They will be talking about businesses, and they will also be seeing what is my interest in this and my interest in this. But when we are not giving them infrastructures or programs that can help these young people to go to school, to go to to do businesses, then they will end up doing the armed groups. And if they do that, getting an arm is so much easy. Wherever they, I'm not very sure whether they go to, as you know, there is no any factory of arms in South Kivu or in the Congo.
So the problem is the problem is the government. Is that what you're saying? And they also, it's very confusing that Congo is one of the richest country on earth. You have all kinds of natural resources. From gold, diamond, coltan, the whole raw materials that are used for cell phone and the computer are from, I think if I'm not mistaken, 60% of them come from DRC Congo, but yet people are poor. And I was reading and I realized that the reserve of natural resources in DRC Congo are about $24 trillion. And you're talking about the combine of US and the whole Europe GDP. But yet people are suffering and living by $1 a day. And what you're saying that the government is what is, the leadership in the Congo is what's lacking. And so what can you tell the government, or how can we do to change that mindset from the government so that they are there to develop a country, not to ruin it by itself? What can people do?
I think what I'm saying is not that we don't have a leadership. We have leadership in the Congo, but I think we have so many challenges.
Okay.
And it is, of course, the responsibility of the government to give priorities to how to tackle all these challenges that we have. Secondly, it's not only the challenge of our government, but it is also the challenge of its partners. We have MONUSCO, we have the UN, for the last 20 years, but it's not even 20 years. We had we had UN troops even in 60s. They were in the Congo, but the problem has never got a solution. We still have them today, yet we don't have a solution. And yet, if you look at the budget, they are using to maintain those missions, it is huge. It's big.
It's huge. So in fact, the last time alone was like over $1 billion a year.
You see, now we have partners of Congo. We have all these international communities that are so much attached to Congo. But what are they doing? I think it is to help our government and make plans for development, local development, a strong decentralized programs where people in their villages, people in their on their mountains and forests can actually take care of themselves. Have them, empower them to use the resources that are available there for their own development. And I'm very sure they will not bother government to come and help them.
Yeah. So,
let me give you just this example. In Minembwe with our cows, we had never bothered the government to give us scholarships or to pay school fees for children. We never. But today we are, because our cows are no longer.
Yes.
And our wealth is not there. But people have willingness, and I'm very sure one of the problems, one of the things that can solve the tribal issues is the local development. because as they say in French, and also we have it in our local languages, that if you have hunger in your stomach, the empty stomach has no ears.
Yes, that's
so
right.
There is no way you can tell people who are not eating, to live nicely, to live, in harmony with each other, because they always think that, oh, if I'm hungry today, is because of my neighbor.
Yes.
Oh, if I'm sick today, maybe it's because of my neighbor.
Yeah.
If I'm being affected in this way and that way, probably it's my neighbor. So I think we need to fight the issue of poverty. Mm-hmm. If Congo has all these resources, let us empower our young people, mm-hmm. empower our young generation, mm-hmm. With education, mm-hmm. and also with means, yes. Their own development, and we solve some of these issues that we are having today.
Dr. Sebitereko, we are almost about at the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you two more questions, and then we're going to conclude. One of the last two questions is, what can people do to help? And I know you are there on the ground, you are seeing people are dying, you have seen villages being burned, you are seeing people who are being displaced without assistance, and also with the current COVID-19, it's not helping at all. What can people do to help, and how can they help?
One, we are calling for our government to intervene. Okay. And anyone who has a voice that can be heard, mm-hmm. reach far from us, from where we are, mm-hmm. help to stop this conflict. Okay. Secondly, we have thousands of people who need humanitarian assistance. Mm-hmm. We have hundreds of children and elderly with kwashiorkor, mm-hmm. With malnutrition. Yes. We need support. Mm-hmm. These people need humanitarian assistance, mm-hmm. regardless of who can bring it, mm-hmm. but the people need it. Yes. Thirdly, we want everyone to stand, mm-hmm. Against hatred, mm-hmm. tribal, and the impact also is cross borders. Mm-hmm. So we need to stop this war of tribalism. Yes. Let me be accepted the way I am. Mm-hmm. And let me also accept the other the way he is or she is. Mm-hmm. We need to respect one another. Okay. We need to live in harmony based on human rights, mm-hmm. From the foundations of human rights. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to be always judged by who we are. Let us be judged by what we have done, but not okay. By what we are. And I think this is a collective issue or effort. It's not only by the Congolese, but everyone has to participate. And today we are being affected. And as I said, we are affected. Even the one who is killing us is also being affected. The mm-hmm. tribes are also all affected. Mm-hmm. So it's not only the tribal groups of other, the group, armed groups from other tribes are forging war against us, but mm-hmm. they are also being affected. Yes. And we are also being affected. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to see it in that way. And if we have to look for a solution, it has to be a lasting solution where I can live everywhere, not only in the mountains of Minembwe, but mm-hmm. I can live everywhere in the Congo. I can live everywhere in Africa mm-hmm. without being afraid mm-hmm. that, I think these are issues that we can all tackle, whether we are in Africa or we are in abroad, whether we are in the Congo or we are everywhere. We feel that it is an issue that Africans have also to look into it. If we think that the borders are the problems, Why can't we think the same as others have done? I mean, if Europe today is working as one country for the benefit of their citizens, then I think our leaders should also be thinking in the same way. We are Africans, and we have to help one another. We have to be and use the resources that we have for the betterment of our continent. I know that it is an issue. I know that it is a long journey, but we need to reach there. If that is something is what can bring solution to our tribal issues or to our ethnic problems. Let us be Africans and stop being Tutsis, Hutus, Bantus, Nilots, and so on.
Wow, that's well said. And I think we are at the end. And the last probably question that I always ask everybody when I'm interviewing them, is there any message that as you are a leader in the local, in Congo, and you also have parents, you're just influential in the region. What message would you give to the public in this specific time where we are facing the COVID-19? The people are hopeless, hurted, and what can you tell to the world? What's the message that you would like to give to the world?
I think my main message will be what Churchill said: never give up.
Okay.
We have problems, we have challenges of corona, which is making the world to look differently. We have all these conflicts around not only in our continent, but also even beyond. But regardless of the challenges that we are having, let us not give up. Let us work together and find solutions.
Very good. Thank you so much. I was very pleased to have you today, and I hope we'll talk again. But also, I wish you well, and also wish peace and democracy in DRC Congo. And also, I hope the Banyamulenge people who are suffering right now will get help, and the whole situation will go away. Again, thank you, and I hope to talk to you soon.